What if the thing holding you back isn't your age, but your focus? Not what you don't have, but what you keep giving away to expectations, to titles, to people who only know you by the old version of you. You're not stuck. Listen to me. You are not stuck. You are just distracted. And it's time to get clear. And I'm here to help you do that. Welcome back to Rollerset to Mindset. I'm your host, Angela B. Fuller, and I help women over 50 who are ready to rewrite her chapter with courage, with clarity, and with confidence. And so, in today's episode, is especially for women who's been reliable her whole life. And if that sounds like you, I want you to lean in because maybe you've been the dependable employee. I get that. I used to be that too, and or the devoted mother. I'm still a devoted mom or a loyal partner. I'm that too. I have a husband of over 17 years and we are loyal to one another. But here is the thing, you've been known for those roles and more, and you've done well. You served it well, you stepped in, boots on the ground, doing it all. But now lean in. Now you feel the nudge. And I know all about it because I felt it and I continue to feel it too. You're ready to be known for your dream. But here's what I see, too many of us are out of focus. How many can agree to that? And if you agree with that, put out of focus in the comments. We're out of focus and we're not lazy because sometimes we get confused about why aren't we doing some of the things that we talk about, that we dream about, that we wish we could do. And a lot of times we think it's a laziness, but that's not it. Or sometimes we feel lost. No, you're not lost. You're just distracted. So today, let's talk about reclaiming your focus. And in reclaiming your focus today, guess what's going to happen? You're going to find yourself reclaiming your future. So when I say focus, I'm not talking about multitasking or time management because that's where our minds tend to go when we talk about being focused. We've heard it all our lives. Stay focused, stay focused, stay focused, because we're talking about the menial things or sometimes some very important things that we are responsible for. But I'm talking about where your energy and your belief goes, because focus is where your attention lives. So, but even on a deeper level, it's what you believe is possible for you. Just like I had to learn and embrace what was possible for me, I want to encourage you and guide you and have a conversation about what's possible for you. Believing in, hear me out now, believing in what is possible for you. So, right now, I want to ask you this question. Are you focused on what's ahead of you or what people might think if you step outside of the box that they've always kept you in? Now, I know that can be a tall order, and sometimes we don't want to throw anyone under the bus. But if you don't throw someone under the bus, maybe you might just be throwing yourself under the bus. So I'm going to ask you again. Right now, are you focused on what's ahead of you or what people might think if you step outside of the box that not only they have kept you in, but this might sting a little bit, but what you have allowed or where you have allowed them to keep you locked, totally locked, and took the key and threw it away. If you're that person, I want you to write in the comment, I have been locked down. So right now, I want you to know I got the master key. We're going to talk about the master keys to get you out of lockdown. So I want you to think about this. Okay? If you're distracted, I want you to come back to me because I really want you to hear this. What do you think about when no one's asking you to be anything for them? What do you think about when people are not asking you to be something for them? What dreams keep showing up, in the quiet moments that you have? That's where your focus belongs. And I learned this trick. And when I learned this, it set me free. So if you want to be set free, then I want you to tune in, continue to listen. First of all, subscribe, because that way you're going to get all the other episodes that I will be doing on this. Okay, so this is the question I have for you. Who told you you can't change? If you give that some thought, if you go back into the crevices of your mind, who told you that you can't change? Who told you that you had to live your entire life being one person, doing one thing, thinking one way? Who told you that? Okay? Because so many women tell me, they have told me, I've been on the same job for 30 years. Guess what? I was that person. For 35 years, I devoted myself to my salon, behind my styling chair, pouring into women, helping them to feel and look beautiful on the outside, but also pouring and inspiring them to grow and become on the inside. And so I got a bright idea. I went and got my transformation life coach certification. And so now, after stepping from behind my styling chair, I change. I am the person I've always dreamed of being. And it is so freeing. It is so liberating. And I just want to share with you, if you are there, if you find yourself at a crossroad right now, I want you to know that it's okay. You're not going through menopause. You're not, what do they call it? You don't have to go out and buy a red Corvette because life is changing, midlife crisis. No, you're coming to yourself and you realize that if you don't do it now, then when? And if it's not you, then who? Who is it going to be? So I'm here to set you free. So I want you to listen in. So I know you've heard other people say it. You've heard friends say it. I've been in the same job for 30 years. I've been doing the same thing for 30 years. How can I change now? How can I change now? Especially if you bought into the American dream of going to school, get a good job, work there for 40 years, 25, 30, 40 years, retire with a retirement check. Then you have to go back to work because that retirement check just ain't cutting it. You had to reduce the quality of your life. So, this is a question I ask them when folks tell me, I've been on the same job 30 years. I can't possibly do anything different. I ask them, who told you that you can't start again? Who told you that you can't start again? You're not a role. And so many times we find ourselves in a role of being a mother, a role of being a wife, a role of being an employee. You're not a role. You're not a job title. You're not even a past version of yourself. You are, listen in, you are a creator. You were made to create. In the beginning, God created. And if we are made in his image and likeness, then that means we are a creator. And each of us are designed to create in our own special way. Each of us are designed to put something into this earth so that we can populate this earth with our ideas, with our imagination, with all that God created us to be. So I want to encourage you. I want that to sink in. Put in the comment, I am a creator. Believe me when I tell you, you are a creator, a woman with wisdom, a woman with experience, and a fire that's still burning. And I can feel that fire. I can feel that fire coming through. And I hope you can feel mine, because it took me a long time to really embrace that, because every so often that feeling would come up. Then I would suppress it, or I'd talk to my daughter about it, or I'd talk to some of my clients about it, or I'd talk to my best friend about it. But I allowed myself to squish and squash that idea. But every so often it kept coming up. And now there was a time that it came up and I said, I'm going for it. I'm not going to leave this earth with this song buried inside of me. I am going to create. And this is what I'm doing at 63 with my own YouTube channel, with my own podcast, I'm creating offers. I'm creating memberships. I'm helping women to become. And so I want you to understand that you are a woman with wisdom. You are a woman with experience and a fire that's still burning. So listen, others may only know one version of you, and that's nobody's fault. It just is what it is. Others may know one version of you, but that doesn't mean it's your final form. It's your final version. You know, the seasons change. It's not always day. Night comes. The sun isn't always up. The sun sets. Flowers aren't always here. There are certain flowers that are seasonal. So understand that who you used to be, that version of you, it does not have to stay. It served you. It served you well. But guess what? There comes a time, if you were to be honest with yourself, that it's time to change. Because if you don't change, guess what? You leave this earth with all of that imagination and beauty. You leave it all inside of you, and you miss the opportunity to leave your legacy here on this earth, to serve other people that God hasn't called home. So I'm here to remind you that there's no expiration date. There is absolutely no expiration date on becoming who you were meant to be. And I rebuke that idea if that's what you're thinking. If you find yourself that you're in your 50s or you're in your 60s or 70s or 80s and you're saying, I'm done. No, 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 no. There's no expiration date on who you were meant to be. And I read this by George Eliot, and it reads, it's never too late to become what you might have been. Isn't that beautiful? There's so much power in that. It's never too late to become what you might have been. And I'm going to stick with that statement. I find, to me, that's empowering. And I want to encourage you to see it the same way. And so the question becomes, so how do I make the change, Angie? How can I possibly make the change? I don't even know where to start. I get that, but I got you. Because there was a time where I didn't know where to start either. But where you want to start, and we can all do this, start with an awareness. Build your awareness of where you are, how you got there. It doesn't even matter how long you've been there. Just understand where you are. Have some idea of how you got there. And then make a decision to change. And a place to start is focus on what I call killers. For me, there are 3 focus killers. Hear me out now. And so let's talk about what's stealing your focus. Because once you get focused, then you can move, you can make some things happen. So let's talk about these three focus killers. Because if we don't name it, it keeps running the show. It keeps making decisions for us. So the number one killer is comparison. Write in the comment comparison, because that lets me know you're with me. This is a dialogue. This is not a monologue. Okay. So the first one, the number one, is comparison. And how do we do that? You know how you do that. I know you're guilty of it, because I know I am. Even, and I feel like, I've got receipts to show that I have made transformation in others, made it in myself, help others to transform. But somehow we still want to compare ourselves. And a lot of times, most times, we're comparing our start, our day one, to someone else's day 100. You get what I mean? So, how do we do it? We say, "Oh, she's further ahead than me," or "She has more time than me," or "She has more support of me. Her husband is supportive, her family is supportive." We compare ourselves to someone else's situation. And we can't do that, because everybody is different. And this is the truth. This is the truth I want you to understand. Let me slow down a little bit, because I get excited. But here is the truth. Comparison is the fastest way to forget how powerful you are. Did you hear me? When you compare yourself to someone else, it replaces your power with lack. And you forget how powerful you are. So let's decide, let's make a decision that you're not going to compare yourself to someone else. You're going to acknowledge someone else's achievements, but you're also going to acknowledge yours. Can we agree on that? Because now you understand that comparison is the fastest way to forget how powerful you are. And I am here to tell you that you have power. You know what I mean? You have power. You have power to move mountains, and you're going to move those mountains. And not just move the mountain out your way, whether you have to go over it, under it, or through it, you have the power to do that. And so the number two killer is, anybody guess what it is? Put it in the comment if you think you know what the number two is. The number two is criticism. Ooh, ugh, that makes my skin crawl. Criticism. What will people think? What if they laugh at me? What if they say I'm crazy for starting something new at 55? Well, baby, if if that's the case, I know I am I'm cuckoo, because I started something new in my 60s, and I've never been happier. So here's what I say to that. And this is what I want you to say to that. I want you to adopt this, okay? What if they're too stuck in their own fear to see your courage? Because that's all it is. It's never about the other person. It's always about us. It's always about you. It's always about me. And what we do is we project onto other people to justify why we're standing still. Ooh, did that hurt? Did I step on somebody's toe? Or like Myron Golden says, did I say that too fast? So I'm going to say that again. Here's what I say to that, the idea of criticism. What if they're too stuck in their own fear to see your courage? And sometimes we got to go first, and we give someone else the courage to go next. So not only when you go first, not only are you helping yourself, but you're helping someone else. Okay? And the third killer is comfort. Comfort, being too comfortable where we are. And if you sit in comfort too long, you know what's going to happen. You know what's going to happen. An object in motion stays in motion unless acted upon by an outside force. An object at rest, guess what happens? It stays at rest unless acted upon by an outside force. Well, I'm asking you to let me be. No, I'm taking the position of being that outside force for those of you who are too comfortable. And this is how being too comfortable shows up. This job isn't what I love, but at least I know it. At least I have a job to go to. At least no, we're not doing that. We're not going to get caught up in the killer of comfort. Because a lot of times we think because it's comfortable, we're comfortable there, we're at peace, we're at ease, we're happy. No, that's not the case. Comfort will keep you safe, but it also keeps you stuck. I'm going to say it again. Comfort will keep you safe, but it also keeps you stuck. My desire here is to take you from stuck to unstoppable, because that's who you are. Once you make your mind up, you become unstoppable. So that's what we're working on here. So it's time to refocus on what brings you joy, not what makes you comfortable, not just what brings you routine. Because joy and bliss, it's like you've been reborn again, because joy comes from a place that's just deep inside of you, and it bubbles up and it spills over, and you create change. You create change not just in your world, but your neighbor's world. And that thing keeps going. It's like throwing a pebble in a body of water. That ripple effects just keep going until you can't even see it anymore. But what you do know is that it is working. It's bringing in change. And change, though sometimes it's uncomfortable, change is what keeps us alive, what keeps us active, what keeps us contributing. So please don't allow the killer of comfort to keep you stuck, to keep you from living your best life. And so, how to reclaim your focus? I'm glad you asked. I'm going to touch on that. How do you take back your focus? How do you take your focus back? Does anyone want to know, how do you take your focus back? If you know, if you got something to contribute, put it in the comment. Let someone know how you reclaim your focus. Help another sister out. First, this is how I do it. First, you want to shift from fear to vision, because fear blinds us. Fear reminds us of all the things we can't do, all the things we did wrong, all the things that hurt us, that caused us pain. So I want you to shift, get your vision, get your mind off of fear, and put it on vision. Put it on where you want to go. Put it on where you've seen someone else go and you admired them from afar. To give someone else an opportunity to admire you from afar. Let's start there. Let's start there. So first, let's shift from fear to vision, because without a vision, you perish. And we're not about perishing. We're not playing those games. We're in the game of thriving, of growth, of planting seed and watering that seed and allowing allowing God to give that increase. So that's what we are start about. So I want you to start asking yourself some powerful questions. And some powerful questions like this. If I wasn't worried about being judged, if I wasn't worried about being judged, what would I start today? That's a tall order. And I don't want fear to be a part of that. So I want you to write in the comments, if I wasn't worried about being judged, what would I start today? Let's go. Start writing. Let me know what you would start today if you weren't worried about being judged. I want you to write it down. I want you to say it out loud. And then I want you to take one tiny action toward it. Let me know what you would do, and let me know what's the first one teeny tiny action that you're going to take to make that happen, to move towards it. Because this is the thing. What you're trying to do is you're trying to get focused. But this is the thing. Clarity doesn't come before action. It comes through it. So if you're trying to get focused, you need some clarity. But that clarity is not going to come before you take action. That is the key. Nothing happens if you're at rest. You got to take action. And when you take action, clarity, as you go, you become clear and clear and clear. As you do, as you start walking, as you start moving, as you start planning, as you start visioning, clarity will come. And lastly, this is the last thing I want to say about that. I want to encourage you to get around women who remind you of who you are becoming, not just who you have been. Isn't that powerful? Get around women who remind you of who you're becoming, not who you have been. And in the first place to start, you could start with my school membership. It's a free membership. Now I say free, but you do pay. You pay with your time. You pay with your attention. You pay with your intention. Join the membership and start to create a dialogue and be in the community and company of women who remind you of who you are becoming and not who you've been. Now, I want you to go ahead and take advantage of this free membership, because in a few weeks, I am going to put a price tag on it. Because the one thing I have learned is that those who pay more attention. Okay? And I want you to pay attention. I want you to feel like you got something vested in it. So get grandfathered in, become a founding member, and let's build this thing together. Therefore, you can be a part of something big. You can be a part of something big. And not only are you helping yourself, you're helping other people do. So this is what I want you to do. I have a call to action for you. Is that all right? If this message has stirred something in you, and I sincerely hope it has, don't let it just fade. Don't do that. Don't be that person. I want you to think about the one thing you've been too afraid to speak out loud about. And then type it in the comment right now. Think about the one thing you've been too afraid to speak out loud. But you can certainly write it. You can certainly type it. And I want you to type that in the comment right now, because I'm going to be reading them and I'm going to be commenting on them and I'm going to be cheering you on, because I'm that person that you can be around who will remind you of who you can be, not who you used to be. We're not dealing with the past. We're moving forward, because that's what progress is all about, moving forward. And if you're ready to make focus your new superpower, make focus your superpower and see what happens in this third quarter of your life, then hit subscribe because this is just the beginning. There's so much more in store for you. Because here's the thing, you don't need anyone's permission to become a different woman. You don't need anyone's permission to become a different woman. And if you do, then let me be that person for you. You have permission to become a different woman. You just need to say yes and get started. Get started today. And in our next episode, we're going to go deeper into what it looks like to start messy, because that's why a lot of us don't get started, because we don't want to start messy. We want perfection. No, we're not doing that. We're not perfect. We're not perfect. So we're going to go deeper into into what it's required to become, and we're going to give ourselves permission to start messy. We're going to give ourselves permission to start scared. We're going to give ourselves permission to start unsure, because that's just how it goes. Because the bottom line is, you just have to get started. You just have to start. Because perfection isn't the goal. Perfection is never the goal. The goal is progress. The goal is, put it in the comment, the goal is progress, because that's what we're going to do. So until then, I want you to stay focused. I want you to stay brave, and I want you to remember your best years. Your best years aren't behind you, my sister. Your best years are not behind you. They're waiting on your decision. Your best years are waiting on your decision. I will talk with you soon. Okay? Bye. Mwah.